Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel here today. Today we're here for 2 more episodes of Mushishi. Very excited to be here. Episodes 8 and 9 I believe. We're relaxed, we're smiling, we're here, it's the weekend. Mushi-Shi. Let's dive into the YouTube comments and start this video off. There's no YouTube comments, but au contraire. Hang on, excuse seeing my YouTube there for a second. Do you guys see that? Kinda, a little bit? It says 1 comment. I don't understand why. And even when I pop over to a tab where I'm not kind of logged in, also YouTube without being logged in is a nightmare, by the way. Anyway, still says 1 comment. I wouldn't be surprised if YouTube's doing the silly buggers thing again, where they've deleted a comment. Again, we should find a solution here. I'd love for people to just post them on Patreon. I feel like that's the best idea here. I also don't want to survive 100 days in prison with Mr. Beast. I think I'll be okay. I don't know. Either way, sorry if that was somebody. This sucks. This clearly sucks. Either way, it allows me to jump right into the episodes, which I do enjoy. Just a little bit of setup, I guess. Mushishi, it's an episodic show. Last week we did the one about the island and the living god, which I thought had quite the intriguing little ending there. Kind of came around on it by the very end. Once again, the 2 episodes working in tandem there, which I did enjoy. The next episode was about the rainbow and had a little bit more of a happy ending, I guess you would say. I don't know, I guess choosing to embrace the madness of the Mushi, or embrace the cure to whatever you have going on, right? Because from the outside looking in, it looks like a disease or something's happening to people in both cases. But in both cases, they kind of embrace it and don't see it the way the rest of society sees it. And it's a search for understanding the other side almost as well, and understanding like what they're going through and the kind of machinations there. It's intriguing. It's not just like somebody has problem, solve X problem. Sometimes they want to keep it. I don't know. It's a good little wrinkle to have. It's a little bit of depth. Do you know who else has a little bit of depth? That would be my Patreon subscribers. Thank you very much. If you want these episodes 1 week early, they're over linked in the description below. On the Patreon, $6 a month will get you access. Many people have access, such as Mickey Babbers, AF, AJ, Bananarama Hamadama-sama, BD422, Bisa, Blue Sky, Capella, Chubba Copley, Dapper Dwarf, Ed, Fancy Question Mark, Flirt Nightingale, Fruit, Gloriana Tenebrae, Glank, Gus N, Hans Peter, Hibiki Tachibana, Ika, Iwayuru, Yako Yavnen, Jami Boo, Joran, Kasogtha, Clem, Nosta, Lick H, Lou, Marco-san, Matthew Bratcher, Miru, Mistake Kill Chen, Molly Weinberger, Mr. Maniacs, Parnick, Pencil Shop 333, Runlad B&K, Saint Lily, Sal, Sam1373, Skeleton, Tentacle Member, Waifu Overdose, Without a Net, Akumancer, Binshi, Kelvin, Voodoo Chili, Aiden O'Brien, Greybeard, Guanal, and Vibrant Weaver, of course. Thank you to everybody for giving me money. I enjoy the money, and yeah, kind of set us up already. It's going to be what it'll be. No, it wasn't something about the Jew. We already did the Jew. I forget. Anyway, I'll find out the episode title very shortly. Yeah, episode 8, upcoming. Be excited. Rightio. Episode 8, up there ready to go. 23 minutes and 38 seconds on this one, so sync up accordingly with your own copy. I have the psych version, so that's the version you should grab if you want your own copy. If not, there's a picture-in-picture version in the description below for your viewing pleasure. Let's give this thing a 3, 2, 1. Rightio. 3, 2, 1, go. And I'm recording, which is always good. Yeah, everything's looking okay over there. That's, I don't know, sometimes you just gotta check. Just pulling back the veil a little bit on my Saturday before this point. It was kind of up inexplicably early. I edited Takopi. I put that on to render. Went for a run. Went shopping. Bought a couple things. Bought a new phone case. Did a bunch of... Anyway, it's been hectic. I feel like I haven't stopped. So sitting here in front of Mushishi here at this time is... It's quite nice. I don't know. Just... It's the little break that I have. Kind of feels like that sometimes. Wonder if we're going to switch up the opening with a change in core. This is the kind of show to do something like that. It doesn't really feel like it, so maybe hold out hope. Or stop holding out hope. Alright, give me that damn episode title. Oh wait, no, it always takes a second to do it. Hang on. Snow? Hairpin. Apothecary Diaries. How does she know? Maybe not. Ocean. Correct. Mm-hmm. Hopefully not people. I mean, unless they're alive, then that's good, I guess. Empty Boats is interesting. Where sea meets man. Now I remember, I made a seaman joke last week. It was very funny. It's like we're on Mars or something. Okay, there's Ginkgo. They're laughing at me. Social recluse, outcast. Unliked in the community. Bit of a weirdo. I like that quite a bit. I don't. What hour is this? Guess it's around midday, maybe. Just looking at the ocean. I am the man, I'm meeting the sea. Strangely, you're talking to exactly the right guy to want to hear a story. He loves this shit. Flashback. What's happened? Ooh, family drama. Store. Intensely envious. A little bit more committed than that. Stubborn almost, maybe. Yeah. Michihi. Got a name. Love the emotions here already. I can kind of feel both characters. And then a strange happening where we got separated. Some little sneeze snake guys or something. This is terrifying. I already don't like the water very much. Like out in the open ocean, fuck that shit. Whoa! Spaghetti tsunami. That's certainly a strange happening. And you're the only one that made it out? But you've never seen anything? Well, it's been 2.5 years, you said. Oh, I see. Gotcha. Straight shooter. Gotta keep living, buddy. Yeah, this is in fitting with a lot of the themes of previous stories. Like, you gotta move on to whatever's next. You've got a whole life ahead of you. Anyway, I'll talk about it in time. Yeah, you clearly know something about what's going on here, right? Oh. That's illegal, but you can give her the information to go shop around. Okay. I mean, it's not mutually exclusive. I can still be quite strange. And also know things about money. Alright, hey! A booming economist in this town. Or something. He is moving on, though, which is the idea. I really love the music here, too. And it looks amazing, as it always does. Got a little friend there or something. Whoa! Whoa. Big whale shark or something. It's not a prank. It was a big Mushi shadow guy. High tide. Ooh. I don't mean him any harm. I'm okay. We're chill. Wonder what the time skip is here. Well, unless there's a rainbow there. Then I might run out and have a good look. The tide rising continuously is curious. It is definitely rising. Ooh, interesting. He he is kind of in a trance. Kind of like last episode. Yeah. And he's just sticking around. Mushi? So it's a Mushi. Umi-sen Yamasen. Okay. That must look like seaweed or kelp or something. Oh, 1,000 days. Well, the same phenomenon, yes. What do you mean by that? Okay. Then I'll let you go out. Interesting. So that's why they were drifting further from shore as opposed to closer to it. Because they had no concept of what shore was. And he's going to be facing these demons out here on the boat. That's quite well animated. Mm-hmm. Trust. It's very pretty again. Love the scale. You're a sicko. It's the quiet before the storm. Boat? Interesting. Anybody inside there? Does she just, like, starve? You wouldn't jump in the drink and at least give it a go, or...? Ooh. Oh! Yo, this is like Twilight Zone or something. This is crazy. Can't say I expected to see her alive. Awkward. 3 days? Try 3 years. Where are we in the... Yeah, really? I wonder what the conclusion is here. Mate? You gonna let this happen? What a spectacle. Interesting. What about Ginkgo? He needs to survive. That really is a giant fucking wave. Holy shit. You guys don't see the giant fucking centipede, or is that just me? Interesting. It's almost like Interstellar. That one planet, you know what I'm talking about. So what's the great lesson or moral out of all of this? I'm on my Mushi time? Kimono's got a new owner now. Wish I had a tanned tomboy wife. Anyway, it's more of a personal thing. Episode was quite good. I feel like it was a little bit on the slower side, but I mean, we're dealing with a pretty kind of touchy subject, pretty deep, pretty kind of mournful, kind of appropriate that it is as paced as it is, I guess. Yeah, quite a bit to talk about during that kind of penultimate scene where we're out there on the ocean and kind of clinging to the past, kind of that split between life and death of almost like human and Mushi again, reaching out to one side, but also kind of losing grip on the human side as a result. Like a lot of the themes that have come through in previous episodes in other different ways, picking the Mushi side over the human side and whatnot, and what's advisable, moving on as a general theme. It's good. It was very good. The Heavy Seed. Yeah, we'll jump into that Heavy Seed right now. Can't wait. Although I am extremely white, and that's the episode up there ready to go. 23 minutes and 38 seconds once again. I have noticed that this one doesn't go straight into the opening, so that's a little bit different, which is, I think, the first episode that's done that. Either way, same subs as last time. Picture in picture. Let's dive in and see what's going on. Radio. 3, 2, 1, go. Mouth. Rice. Chopsticks. It's rice. I'd get that checked out. I'd be concerned. You don't want teeth growing in weird spots. Wonder where that was placed before the opening. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's just odd. And I'll try not to yawn either. I think I got to get off the caffeine. Feel like it's affecting my sleep. And I'm becoming like a fucking old person lately. I feel like, I don't know. I need to start thinking about things more. Like, maybe put that Red Bull down. Maybe you don't need it. Wheat. Heavy seed. So it's a seed of some kind potentially in the top of her mouth there. Okay, they're farmers. Here's this fucker again. But I'm hungry. Ooh. That's even more interesting than a succulent meal. He just hears about weird shit going on and kind of goes and investigates. Parting harvest. Among Us, true. Okay. Superstitious rice growing. It's almost like the weakest of you gets chosen so that the rest may prosper. Mm-hmm. We love an auspicious tooth. And that'd be her right there. Just move? Yeah. Let's get a look at this head priest. Oh, you're okay. Priest in training. This is all very suspicious. Okay, come along. You got that Mushi kind of vision. Let me see this guy. I'll tell you if he's evil. Or just read his books. Maybe that'll do it too. Evil? Oh, no, it might be chill. We'll see. He almost talks like Ginkgo. This is like evil palette swapped Ginkgo who hands me a yam or a sweet potato or something. Okay, defensive. Okay. Bit of a weird coincidence, though, right? That makes sense. That logically follows. White vein. Okay. He's being very coy. Probably. Isn't that akin to murder? Of course. Bro has the seed trolley problem. Probably not. Well, I'm a nomad, so it doesn't really affect me. Yeah. I understand the attachment you have here, but I also understand what you're doing. Ooh! Got your ass. Okay. Truly is one heavy seed. Okay. Kid's back. Save us all. Wait, we've gathered everybody somewhere? Well, somebody already sprouted the tooth. Just move, like... Break the cycle. He's like fucking struggling. What's going on with you? Maybe he truly was the weakest of us all. Okay. Very shiny. What is that? But have you? What about the other lady? Okay, so we got her. Oh. I thought that that lady was the same lady as the kid's mom. From the intro. I was just incorrect. I like that sentiment. And then I gotta make myself as weak as possible, so I'm the one that's taken. Ooh. River of Light. Corky. Oh. There's that theme again. Well, you went with that attitude. Where are we? Yeah, towards the end. Very hard to pace the stories of these episodes in kind of this set. Alright, yeah. He's having a day. There's Little Tooth. But what was the one condition, or whatever the thing from the last conversation was? That's nice. I'm soon to die. Okay. Okay, keep living in your fantasy land. Sane, what's the go? Yo. Ugh, I still don't like it at all. I don't like that. We're planting it in the light vein or whatever, right? I thought that was the vibe. Yeah, no, he's cooked. What was the condition of the conversation then? Whoa, I'm stealing your shit. Huh? Here we go. Ooh. That's what I was going to say. Interesting. Exactly. That's what I was going to bring up too. Now he'll get his wish. He'll be able to see how it one day grows into a kind of, beautiful, lush land or whatever. And yeah, it did work. Either way, you're going to see. You're going to continue to live forever. Which again, immortality has it's its own can of worms. Mr. Farming Technology himself, the immortal farmer, is finally here. He's arrived. I have some suspicions about Ginkgo's past and the potential use of such a seed. Time is very weird for Ginkgo, no? He's just kind of here. He doesn't seem overly concerned about the passage of time or losing time, or doesn't seem to grow older, or at least hasn't visibly thus far. He's almost like ageless and like eternal. He's always just gonna like be a thing. Maybe he's taken a seed, potentially. I don't know if such a thing is ever confirmed or not, but could be an idea. Once again, just really hitting home that theme of continuing to live, despite, like, we're very, very much against kind of self-sacrifice in basically any form, noble or otherwise. That's a pretty shot. The white which lives within the inkstone. Yeah, a couple of intriguing episodes here. I would imagine I'll have quite a bit to say tomorrow, especially about episode 2 there. So yeah, I'll do that. You'll see me shortly. We're back. It's the next day. 2 more episodes of Mushi-Shi in the books. Very positive on them once again. Slower, contemplative. Not sure I'll have ultimately that much to say in the micro, but in the macro, I feel like it's quite significant. Once again, the show doing a really good job of hitting home this theme of there isn't an ending. There isn't a finality to this. You are going to continue to live. And kind of after the session, it made me think a little bit of Monogatari. And not the first time I've thought of Monogatari with this series, and others have as well. Just kind of, I don't know, spoilers for Monogatari, I guess. But towards the end, and especially the run before the new stuff, right? It was all kind of a metatextual piece about the end of a story. and what that means, and things coming up to their kind of natural conclusion. And, it feels like there's really going to be a finality to this. I'm specifically not saying characters' names, but specifically towards that point in the story, a character seems like they're about to die, or at least get pushed away or something. No, we make the conscious decision to integrate that character once again. Araragi makes the conscious decision to continue the story. The writers make the kind of similar decision to continue the story as well. No, you're not getting your narrative perfect 3-act structure ending to this shit, because this shit is life, and life doesn't work that way. And I found that really compelling in Monogatari. Once again, I find that really compelling here. Just, yeah, it would make sense, again, for the man and his value set in this first skit to go off and drift away or something like that. It would be consistent, especially for the next episode, for old mate to die knowing that he has done a taboo and whatnot, and he's going to give up his own life in the place of somebody else's. He doesn't feel like okay ethically with what he's done. Therefore, he must bear the brunt of it. Therefore, he must, die in the place of somebody else to ensure the harvest once again. But no, deeply that isn't what he wants to do. He wants to continue to live. He wants to see the land prosper forevermore. And weirdly enough, in our solution, he kind of becomes immortal and almost becomes like a faux ginkgo figure for farming. He's going to now go around and, explain various farming methods and see the land grow more and more and see life prosper and whatnot, right? He himself has almost become the living embodiment of, that seed of the Narazu, whatever seed, I'm bad with words. Just, yeah, instead of taking, I guess, the easy way out and the, wrap it all up in a nice, neat bow kind of way for the story, we're going to, again, have characters continue to prosper and be a going concern in the future after their story is done. In scant few cases in the show thus far, and most of them have been, I'm specifically talking about episode 4 here, that's really the only time in the story thus far we've seen a character that just straight up doesn't continue to live, and we feel really bad about it. It's a feel bad kind of story. So yeah, that's the macro to it. I feel like episode 9 is a little bit more interesting in the micro as opposed to episode 8 here. They're okay. Obviously, again, the show's still gorgeous and the music's great. I'm just not as drawn in by the characters chosen here as previous episodes, I guess. Specifically, again, this guy, episode 8 guy, he's okay. I don't know, he's kind of whingy. He gets a cute wife by the end. I guess that's okay. A little bit more going on with the other guy. I liked him a bit better in episode 9. But anyway, I'm rambling. We should jump in here and have another look. Episode 8 begins with a man named Shiro. He is on the beach. It is where a man meets the sea, of course. And he's looking for personal effects and kind of debris that's washed up on the beach in hopes of finding, I guess, signs of death of his wife, or signs that, he needs to confirm it himself, because otherwise he won't almost believe that she's dead and has passed on. If anything gets across that kind of theme that I spent the first part of this segment talking about, continue to live and don't dwell on the past and move forward and all these kind of things, I feel like it's this shot, right? It's been heavily implied that old mate has literally been sitting here all day, every day for 2.5 years, waiting for something to wash up, Is that not just the most perfect little metaphor for not letting go? Holding out hope when you know it's hopeless ultimately and you should just move on? And in comparison, we have Ginkgo, Mr. Move Forward himself, Mr. Nomad, never stops moving, always be walking, just passing him by in an instant, but also taking note of him at that same point. I like this little setup here. It comes around for the community of this fishing town to be a little bit more, I guess, involved with Shiro and come around on him. We need to start at a point where he's kind of a recluse and he's not very well respected and the kids don't want to go near him. I'm guessing this is a mum and kids, even though mum kind of looks a lot like the kids. Anyway, hey, I don't want my kids to go near this weird guy. Pretty relatable, I would imagine. Anything in his name being Shiro, and a lot of white in the frame, a lot of haze, white, kind of grayish haze. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if it's the same characters or not with the name. Ginkgo returns, and once again, I just want to shout out, I love how he kind of happens upon these stories. It reminds me of him walking out of the rain in kind of the previous episode about the rainbows and stuff, right? Just to find these two characters by a tree, and then, the story starts. It's very organic, and it feels like, I don't know, it feels like a way that somebody like Ginkgo would get into these stories. I was a little bit worried early on with the show that it would kind of be like he's been requested to XYZ spot. He's been, his talents have been kind of procured. That's kind of not really the vibe of the show, really. It's a little bit more freeform than that, which I do enjoy. And yeah, just kind of, it's very interesting seeing how the show starts various kind of stories, right? A lot of them have had this structure. Again, Ginkgo arriving on a person and then, hey, what's your story? Tell me what your go is. Why are you doing what you're doing right now? And then he recounts his little tale, and that frames a flashback for us, the audience. We're going to call that simple but effective. If I see it about 10 more times, I might get a little bit sick of it, but for right now, it's working. Again, I feel like when this guy's like, oh, you probably don't want to hear my story. Actually, I do want to hear your story. I feel like that's almost wasted screen time. Like, the audience knows that Ginkgo wants to hear this shit by now. So one of the things I was looking for was the hairpin that he picks up very early in the piece and finds on the beach and then continues to move on. Evidently, this hairpin didn't belong to the wife, or at least she's not wearing it right now. It might be in with her luggage or something, but why would she bring that on board? Yeah, I was going to say, okay, did he actually find evidence of her and that's why he continues to sit, or has he not found anything? I didn't think he had found anything, so that's, yeah, just confused about the hairpin. Maybe it's just ancillary, it doesn't really matter, it's off to the side. It's just meant to introduce the concept of something drifting ashore. So, I really wanted to break down this conversation, but not really, again, in the micro, more in the macro. I feel like the emotions here of both of these characters are really complex and really believable. I guess you could say I see how strained the conversation is between the characters. I mean, from a writing perspective, it's just kind of, it's a little bit clunky. It's a little bit like, okay, we need to get across all these complicated feelings as quickly as possible. But what it does do is paint a wonderful picture of this relationship. So we have Mushi-Shi over here, the wife. She's the most tsundere. Oh my god, she's so tsundere. Her goal right now is to get Shiro to come back, to where the father's from, and we can explain things and we can try to make things right, or at least move on. Like, once again, you've come back to your childhood fishing town. That's not, I don't think you want to be here. I definitely don't want to be here. What are we doing? So even if it's not, hey, let's go back and beg father for forgiveness, I feel like it's, hey, let's move out of this place. Let's get out of this rut that we're in right now. However, she's a little bit too proud with her feelings and her genuine care for this guy. So she has to diss the town. She has to say, it stinks here, I don't want to be here, it's a stupid fishing town, it's nowhere. And obviously you're not picking up the subtext, buddy, so you just think that she hates it here, and that I've almost forced her to come here along with me, and that her love for me is almost like a curse that is kind of dragging her to this spot and chaining her down. At that same point, you also have additional context because, you've actually been the one that's gotten fired by the father. You're the one that's been pushed away. You're the one that's, felt like this is the only place you could return to. You feel like you know the situation better than she does, to the point where there is no repair there, and this is where I have to be. I've been kicked down the social ladder, and I'm back down to where I began. And the sticking point in the conversation here is when Shiro dismisses the love of Michihi, right? Basically, hey, you're not the eldest daughter, but you're still from this good family, right? Whatever. He says he's in wholesaling or something, it's weird. Whatever kind of family you're from and whatever business they do, you must have had other plans than me, a kind of lowly, commoner, fishing village type guy. Why don't you go and do those and leave me here to wallow in, my failure and whatnot? So you're misinterpreting the signal of her saying that she doesn't like the place as, I want to get out of this relationship. No, buddy, I love you so much that I want to drag you out of here along with me. You failing to see how much she genuinely likes you beneath the kind of tsundere-ness of it all, failing to see the dere, is the failing here, is the reason why they have that argument before they go out on the sea. But again, he's not entirely to blame. She is, blamed as well. Once again, it's the tsundere. Just explain how you feel, and I'm sure that he'll change his mind. Either way, this little spat that they have frames the interaction out on the ocean. This was probably my favorite moment of the episode. That and the confrontation on the sea once again. Just, again, masterful kind of little relationship here shown off, where both characters simultaneously love each other, but both have simultaneous complexes. One tsundere, one, I guess, defeatist. He's a little bit forlorn, you would say, which kind of get in the way of their love and ultimately lead to their splitting. I didn't even talk about this part, the part where, again, you must have had other plans, Michi here. She shouldn't be on the fishing boat today. Like, why would she be on the fishing boat? That doesn't make any sense. She's purposely stubborn and getting on the fishing boats, like showing that, hey, no, I love you, I'm going to follow you everywhere. It doesn't matter where, even though that I said the fish stank before and I didn't like the smell of the ocean and all this other kind of stuff, I'm still going to follow you out here. No matter where you go, I'm going to be there. It makes it really tragic what happens. Now, this is the part that confuses me, right? Because it's only characters that still have an attachment to the land, or something to go back to, that can see the land from out of the haze. So does that cause us to reinterpret Michihi's feelings here at this time, whereby maybe she didn't want to come back? Maybe if it's not with you, and you don't love me, and you want me to move on, I don't want to move on back to where my family's from and all that other kind of stuff. I'm guessing she wasn't particularly popular after following this guy back to his village or whatever, right? Like, that can't be, what the family expected of her to do either. So anyway, if he doesn't love me, if my family doesn't love me, maybe I'm out in the ocean by myself and I'm just going to let myself fade away. You could also say that, hey, she still holds her feelings for Shiro, of course, but he's not on land, so I have nothing on the land to go back to, technically. Is that anything? That and the fisherman guy, what's going on there with him? Is he suicidal as well? Maybe. Suicidal boatman. Yeah, this whole segment is hitting kind of crazy for me. I confess to my fear of open water and the open ocean earlier. Yeah, this is like my worst nightmare. Just two boats, like, can't see land out on the ocean. We try to swim like to each other, but the currents kind of pull you away. Yeah, I don't like that very much. So it's hidden. I don't like it. Back into current day now, and Shiro explains what he's doing here finally. So my boat washed up ashore, but I never saw my wives. Everything that kind of goes on in that ocean out there, in this bay, will eventually wash up on the beach. I haven't seen an empty boat. I haven't seen any personal effects of my wife. I haven't even seen the other fisherman guy. What gives? What's going on there? And Ginkgo here points out how long he's actually been here. So wait, you've been here 2.5 years waiting for debris to wash up on the beach? Buddy, themes of the show, you gotta move on. You gotta keep on living, buddy. I don't know, I do find Shiro still compelling on the beach, though. I need to find something that kind of confirms for me that she is actually gone. Like, I need that evidence, otherwise I'm never... It feels like missing person, Like, there's always that kind of gaping hole of, okay, well, I don't know if they're alive or dead, I don't know what's going on there. That lack of knowledge and lack of closure is almost the worst thing possible. So again, I do relate, but once again, 2.5 years, you gotta move on. And Ginkgo's very rational here, which is odd for him. Normally he has some kind of Mushi solution for something, but he's like, hey, it's been 2.5 years. One, she's probably dead. Like, 99% sure she's dead. But if she isn't, clearly she didn't come back here. Clearly she's not interested in you. Clearly she's moved on to something else. You should move on as well in turn. Now, here's where the timing of the story gets a little bit weird for mine. So, okay, we've seen the events of 2.5 years ago here at this point. Obviously, we just had that scene with Ginkgo and Shiro. There is another 6 months that passes between now and when the haze returns again, and you kind of just have to pick that up. Actually, not even, because what's 1,000 days into years? It'd be slightly less than 3, no? So maybe it isn't even that. Maybe it's only like a month or so. Yeah, weird. I don't know. I always just shorthanded it to 3 years, but not really. It's a little bit kind of less than that. So Ian, they really knew the tanned girl for like a month? 2 months? Yo, okay. It's all coming into vision now. But Shiro takes the advice. He goes and he continues to live. He moves from the beach and is interacting with his town a little bit more. He is completely out of pocket for pulling this guy's, like, abacus out of his, like, fucking belt or whatever. His abacus belt. Don't touch my stuff. Either way, he's trying to help the girl there, so it's fine. And this is when we get a little bit, like, snoozy and boring, even though it's probably a little bit realistic. Like, why give him a job that's so kind of boring? Do you know what I mean? Like, why is he a wholesaler from another town, and that's the skill set that he gives off to everybody? He's like economic knowledge, and his knowledge of prices in the area. That's just... Couldn't we, like, jazz it up a little bit? Couldn't he be like a... we kind of already did blacksmith. What's another good one? I don't know. Maybe attach it into the kimonos and the hairpin and stuff. Make him a, fashion designer or something, or a master sewer, craftsman, something like that. Just something a little bit more interesting than the numbers guy. Now, again, I'm not crazy. This is implied romantic, no? I feel like it is, because again, he's moving on in the same way that he's moving on from his partner. He would be moving on to a new romantic interest. At least I think so. I really got to get out my my Hanakatoba stuff a little bit more sometimes. I don't know. I feel like the kind of blossoms opening on this flower, regardless of whatever it is significant for Shiro at this time. He's blossoming a little bit more. He's reaching out almost like that branch and trying to become more connected in his own local community. So this stuff, right? Because we say that, that Shiro, almost as time passes on, he has a little bit of mania around Mushi, a little bit like the rainbow guy, right? Once again, he has interacted with them in the past. He got kind of swallowed up in the Snake Sea. It's probably made him susceptible to seeing Mushi in real life now. He's got a little bit more of an ability there. So when something like the Umisen Yamisen happens, of course he's going to start seeing the signs early on before it occurs, and they start to worry about him, and he's like increased mania at this time. Goes to show he has concern from the people around him, and that he has moved on and forged new relationships of people that care for his well-being. We're going to say randomly, at this point in time, Ginkgo randomly comes back around and and goes and sees Shiro right when the water's starting to rise, right when this haze is about to start rolling in. It's almost like when he heard Snake, he knew something about what was going on. The love interest here is quite protective as Ginkgo starts asking questions. Obviously, again, this kind of Mushi mania stuff has started to take control. She's worried about him. She doesn't want any weird guys showing up and doing anything with him. I just want him to get better, basically. There's almost this intangible feeling from the love interest here where she's like, okay, I see you staring out into the ocean. The ocean has weird tidings at the moment. It's rising steadily. It's odd. You say strange things. I just get the feeling that one day you're going to drift out there and not come back. That's kind of almost what happens. If he chose to, pass to the other side and go with his Mushi wife, that's what would have... Yeah, she would have predicted it perfectly. I don't know, there's a weird sense of, like, fate and kind of, like, spiritualism from this, that she could just interpret that. It's kind of cool. And yeah, then we follow the scene, and the love interest is proven almost exactly correct, as the rumors kind of pass around that this is almost the exact same as 3 years ago. What happened there with the, haze and the water being still and steadily rising and whatnot. There's the idea of the boats returning empty and that kind of thing. Well, the boats never returned empty in this case. I never saw an empty boat, right? Then she must still be on the boat, no? That would only make sense. All this is a massive extended metaphor for him not letting go of this past relationship, even though he should. This is kind of the final test of him going out there and testing his resolve in this way. Like, hey, I have actually moved on. I can walk away from my Mushi wife and I can go back to shore. I still do want to be there. But again, only after the pushing of Ginkgo as well. Yeah, I just like how it's like, no, I've moved on. Let me just go out here and have a look. Let me just go to this boat and see. And yeah, Ginkgo shows up. Hey, it's Mushi, buddy. It's always Mushi. Those snakes, you seeing them, everybody else probably didn't see it like that. It's a lot of perception to this. Like, you got involved in some Mushi shit and you didn't mean to. So, this Mushi is called Umisen Yamasen. Umi being the sea, Yama being the mountains, Sen being 1000. So this snake kind of goes off. 1,000 years in the mountains, 1,000 years in the sea. Years, days. And then they come together, and then they form a giant fucking centipede, and it goes into the sky or something. It was odd, but that's kind of its vibe. 1,000 obviously significant because it's been 1,000 days since this has happened, but again, she's operating on Mushi time, and it only feels like 3 days. Again, almost that kind of 365 day like multiply on this, you know? Wait, so I was getting the life cycle wrong. First it's 1,000 on the mountains and 1,000 in the sea, and then they meet. And then it's another 1,000, and then they go centipede mode. So the first time we see it, it's them meeting, I guess, in the kind of flashback in the episode. Sure. Again, it's not really all that important. Then Ginkgo comes through with the kicker, as Shiro says that he wants to go out there regardless. Hey, you know why your wife drifted away? Only those who want to return to land can see the land and return. If you don't want to return, you're not going to, and you're going to metaphorically pass to that other side. Once again, Mushi-human split being signified as between life and death a lot, between kind of tangible mortality and immortality. She's almost chosen the latter, to let go of these kind of earthly desires, these literally earthly desires, in that she doesn't want to return to land, and she's passed kind of through and become a Mushi, like a lot of people have, like Old Mate does next episode as well. Kinda, no, he almost just becomes immortal. Other people have become Mushi in the past, though, like episode 1, obviously. Yeah, that's kind of what's happening symbolically, behind closed doors here. So, this implies a couple of things, right? One, they both go out there into the haze and investigate. Ginkgo makes sure that Old Mate, that Shiro, has something that ties him back to land now, that he has something that he wants to return back to. That's why it was crucial for him to, you know, move on and forge other relationships and, you know, almost Ginkgo's predicting ahead, saying that, hey, I know that I'm going to return here at a certain time. I kind of know what Mushi this is already. I want you to organically gain an earthly kind of an attachment before we go back out here. But 2, and this is where I think it's very interesting, Ginkgo also has said attachment back to Earth, right? He must, otherwise he would get lost, you know, and he wouldn't take that risk. So he has something drawing him back there. Whether it is just the general concept of continuing to travel and learn and wander and all that other kind of stuff, or it's something more significant in his backstory, time will tell. But very interesting regardless. A few little tidbits here and there about Ginkgo. We'll get into the next episode stuff too, about his origins and why he is the way he is. Also amazingly well animated boat rowing sequence. Like, why go that hard? I don't know. Wasn't there something about the haze itself also being the Mushi? So that's like the haze is meeting the water too in a cool way. So it's like the physical snakes and like the air kind of hazy snakes. Oh, so yeah, maybe just Ginkgo wants to sell them, because he does jar one up. Like, I don't know, he's just... maybe he's just a weird collector guy. Maybe that's just his whole shtick. And again, I've kind of been through a lot of this stuff already in talking about the kind of earlier portions in the episode. Hey, we see that boat. We know that an empty boat should have washed up, so this must have been the boat from back then, still out on the water. And then I was concerned, right? I didn't consider Mushi time, because she obviously didn't have anything to eat out here. She didn't even really like fishing. I'm not sure she could have lived out here for that long. Fresh water as well, which would probably become the biggest issue, actually. Anyway, yeah, clearly she's dead. It's going to be a skeleton in the kimono. But au contraire, she's in there and completely fine. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. Well, actually, I do know how they did it. She's a Mushi, and she's passed on, and she's operating on Mushi time. She feels as though it's only been 3 days, but it's been a lot longer than that. Now, it is quite interesting where Mushi time can kind of go both ways, because Mushi time, with the whole live-in God angle, right, from a couple of episodes ago, it was almost the opposite. Mushi time is elevated. I live entire lifetimes in 1 day, where this time it's, you know, there's been 3 years and it feels like 3 days. Like, there's a difference in the time scale there. We've often equated it to how large a Mushi is. So is this entire organism, like technically this like centipede thing or whatever, is that what kind of the Mushi time here is based off of? And because it's much larger, it has a much larger time scale. Maybe that's what's going on. Again, it's kind of a little bit airy-fairy. We're playing fast and loose. Anyway, in a narrative sense, what this is meaning to do is represent the final step of Shiro moving on. He literally goes out into the haze. The traumatic experience from early in the episode is replicated. He's able to right a wrong, and then it's on him to let go once he realizes it's not what it seems. And we don't miss her personality in all of this. It does genuinely feel like her. Like, she almost puts on a little bit of that tsundere. She's, like, mad at him for leaving her out here for so long, for leaving her out here for 3 days. Like, she's still... It's still that care, but behind, like, that shield. I don't know. I like tsunderes. I think they're good. So I'm getting a lot out of this. Another narrative thing it does, and I didn't even think of this, and it's kind of a weird thing to say, but they had an argument early in the episode, and this is them making up that argument. Like, that's almost like sitcom structure. Like, yeah, it's still cool. I like that they both come to their senses and admit their feelings for each other still here at this time. It makes that final goodbye all the more sweet, knowing that there's kind of no loose ends there. This is the kicker, right? As soon as, he goes with this woman and we're going to go back to land and we're going to show the hometown and all that other kind of stuff, he points in exactly the wrong direction. Now again, this direction behind us, that's like back to reality, back to the human world. That direction there, it's almost like over to the Mushi world, So, hey, you would pass into death along with her. You wouldn't, be this person that continues to live in this way if you were going to go down that path. Once again, I don't feel like there's any, like, trickery here. I don't feel like it's, like, malevolent and, like, evil, the Mushi in doing this. I just feel like it's just what it does. Either way, we've ran out of time because the Mushi have begun to transform into their larger being, centipede type guy. They're kind of getting all very sea foamy. Like, stand back from that thing right now. It's a Mushi. It isn't human. And yeah, she's kind of become integrated. So yeah, like, I don't know. It's her, but she's just a Mushi now, and now she's doing her purpose as a Mushi, kind of becoming this bigger thing that then goes off into the sky. That's so obvious. She's going off to, like, heaven. Oh my god, how did I not? Am I dumb? Okay, that's another very obvious interpretation. I was going to go in the direction of, I like the idea of the sea foam here. It's giving me, like, the original Little Mermaid story by Hans Christian Andersen. Yeah, like obviously very different from the adaptations we've seen in recent times. Yeah, just this like sacrifice to it, this melancholy, obviously the sea foam there too. It's really cool. I like it. So yeah, big sea foam kind of geyser rises up. Ginkgo and kind of Shiro are left in it. We then have the new girlfriend, the lover back on land, kind of mirroring Shiro from very early in the episode, continuing to look for him, almost holding on to that hope that he will return, as they're kind of trapped in Mushi time for like a month, even though they were only there for like a couple of hours. But yeah, I mean, all's well that ends well. Shiro's back. He's kind of used that time, that kind of month that they probably had, to just kind of, think about things and move on from my old wife. Got a new wife here. And as we move towards the epilogue, Ginkgo saying that it's nice that she didn't suffer. Think about it from that perspective, right? She only had to spend 3 lonely days out there as opposed to the 3 lonely years that you spent on land. If anything, you got the raw end of the deal. It feels like a condolence, like she didn't have to suffer, That's kind of what Ginkgo's trying to do here. And in symbolizing that, we have the boat finally washing ashore now as well. Again, the kind of the woman on the boat, she'd become a Mushi, she'd become integrated in the whole process, therefore we have to keep the boat. But after that point, boat's done. Boat can come back to land and, like it normally does, appear empty. This is what should have happened if the whole Mushi business didn't occur. Obviously we have the symbolism here of the new wife finding the kimono. Hey, this is very pretty. Okay, this is the most obvious metaphor for moving on that I've ever seen. Finally admitting that the wife is gone, finally admitting that he doesn't want to go back out to the ocean, finally able to attain that closure that he wanted in the very start of the episode. And look at this, continuing to live. Cute wife. Finally, it's here. Yeah, I kind of poo-pooed that episode a little bit, but I liked it a lot on the rewatch again. Just focused, very structurally sound. Introduces things early that get resolved by the very end. Fable-esque, it's good. It's very, very good. I like this show. I found this episode here a little bit more compelling on the first watch, but I guess we'll say we start here eating some rice and finding an auspicious tooth in the top of one's mouth. So here's my disconnect, right? I don't take any note of this character design at all, and his little shitty beard and his hair and stuff and his voice, which become kind of more pronounced as he gets introduced as a character later on. So I don't connect that to being his wife at all when we find a lady that has a tooth. I instead connect that to the mother, right? The mother of the child, of Sane, here in a little bit. So that confused me for big swaths of the episode, but I got there eventually. Either way, we'll unpack this moment a little bit more for, you know, the head priest and whatnot when the time arises. These little bits of narration have been nice too. I don't feel like I've commented on them very often, but just introduce the concepts. You should pay attention to them because they will come back. This one literally attaching the kind of produce from the land to our ancestors' flesh and blood, which I understand that because they've put in an effort. You put your blood, sweat, and tears into something that you've put effort into. We're taking that a little bit more literally here, where the land itself, the kind of seed that we use, literally takes the life of one person that's benefiting from it. So we're literally growing stuff from people's flesh and blood. It's almost kind of like horror-like, because there's this kind of supernatural thing going on unbeknownst to all the villagers, where it's kind of sapping their strength in a weird way to grow all this stuff. It's kind of, you know, Lord of the Fliesy, like we decimate one of our people to fuel this thing and we don't know it. There's something really spooky about that. I don't know. Anyway, I was praising the narration. It's good. It's appropriate. It puts me in the mood for watching some Mushishi. Once again, I'm fascinated with the show structurally and how we get Ginkgo onto these quests. It's very RPG coded. I've kind of said it before, where we kind of have these characters, or this main character, happening upon a thing which then unravels and becomes something bigger. I name-checked Witcher before, I'm going to do it again. It's like the exact same quest structure as that game. You'll get kind of into something where it seems like one thing, and then it explodes and becomes a big long quest chain that does something else. It kind of feels like these episodes are akin to that, where Ginkgo's just initially just trying to find some food, and it's almost like the Mushi finds him. Either way, I should explain. Ginkgo wants food. He talks to some random farmers. They're like, hey, the conditions here have actually been shit this year. We hardly have enough food for ourselves. We're really struggling to get by. Hey, why don't you go to, like, over the next mountain, have a look. They're the only ones that have had a bountiful harvest, right? Which doesn't make any sense. Why would the conditions be any different here, this side of the mountain, than that side of the mountain? What gives? But apparently we're warning against eating their produce because it's kind of scary. Their rice isn't normal. Little do they know that he knows exactly what's going on here. And I think even a little bit more than even we know here now, I see this story here having explicit ties to why Ginkgo is the way he is. I'm just going to say it now. I feel like Ginkgo's ingested one of these seeds in the past. He doesn't seem like he ages. He seems like he just wanders wherever, almost in eternity. He has a deep connection to Mushi. He's almost like the Mushi equivalent of the farm guy by the very end. Just this immortal guy that wanders around giving advice and bridging the gap and so forth. But he almost laments this as well. He almost wishes for, like, real human life once again, and a sense of normalcy. And that's why he's so adamant about getting other characters to want to do that kind of stuff, to want to embrace their kind of life and continue to live it and not be drawn in by all this stuff, because I know what that's like firsthand and I don't want that for other people. Is that kind of what's going on here? Like, that's his disappointment and that's his seriousness when it comes to this seed. I don't know, complete kind of headcanon theory stuff. I have no other evidence for it other than I think it might be cool. Either way, flash over to the village. They say it's going to be a parting harvest. The villagers kind of know what's going on here. If there's a disaster and then we have a bountiful harvest in the wake of that, then somebody's going to die. That's kind of this, like, you know, kind of a legend of the village, even if it can't be proved. Ginkgo sees a child. Now, again, I was very early on my kind of Ginkgo and children and spiritual connection shit very early in the show before that just kind of went away. It's not really what we're doing. But I do find it pretty fascinating that he went off to this child and it was the first one that he spoke to about any of this stuff. Maybe he saw a vulnerability there. Maybe he saw them kind of off from the rest of the kind of group of people and just chose this person to speak to. He's a good people reader. Maybe he saw that Sane, he was anxious. Either way, he tries to probe and push, gets nothing before this line here. In exchange, they take a life, right? It's like, ooh, he knows. I guess if I was to get critical of this episode, it is a lot of exposition. It is finding out, why these harvests occur, what the mechanics are. It's a little bit less focused on the emotions of it all until we get to that head priest guy. It gets a little bit monotonous if you've kind of seen it already. I do like the information reveal though, like, hey, mum's sick and that's why Sane is personally concerned. It's always the weakest of the bunch that gets taken, right? My mum's clearly the weakest in the village. I'm going to lose my parent, my guardian here. I don't know, my mom, if I don't do something. Or if this thing occurs. That's why I'm feeling angsty about the whole thing. So here's the thing. At this point, because it's the autumn, right, where the seed starts to do its thing and blah, 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 blah. So Mum's clearly been eating some of this new produce and that kind of thing. She's been enjoying it. She hasn't started sprouting a tooth yet. It's only when the tooth starts to sprout, you almost can't take it back. So, when the head priest guy has that tooth and he looks inside and he sees it, he's like, oh, okay, I've been chosen as the sacrifice. Again, I got very confused very early, and I'm fine now. I'm better. So Ginkgo kind of already knows what's going on here, but he just wants to confirm a few things. Okay, there's a head priest. This head priest takes that tooth, per se, and he's the only one that keeps it. He's the only one that can almost see it. It's clearly Mushi shit, and this is the confirmation that he needs. I felt like I was very dismissive in the episode, just saying, hey, why don't they just move? Just move, all this other kind of stuff. It's not entirely fair. Again, they have so much death to kind of thank for all these harvests and so much familial connection to the land because of that. Just leaving now and kind of, wiping our hands of the whole affair would be disrespectful to those ancestors that had died from similar kind of harvests in the past. Either way, it's like spiritualism stuff. You don't just move. That's not how this works. Either way, Ginkgo wants to meet the head priest, tries to find him in his house. Not there. Instead, we see agricultural literature and a journal. This will connect into the farming kind of prowess stuff that we see later on that he imparts to other people. Now, this can't be by accident. This guy's mannerisms, the way he talks, even the way they draw his face, it's extremely similar to Ginkgo. And then by the very end of this, he becomes this kind of nomadic, immortal farm guy. I don't know, they feel like two peas in a pod, no? Or two seeds in a, I don't know, casing. Yeah, they feel like very similar to each other, and I feel like that's very pointed. Ooh, I love the underlying stuff here now, right? Oh, you're still worried about your mother? Don't worry, she'll be fine. I know that because I'm taking poison. I will be the one that is the weakest at this point. I'll be the one that grows the tooth. She'll get better, she'll work up from this. It'll be fine. I literally know it'll be fine, Thus begins the game of cat and mouse once Sane kind of gets out of the picture and leaves, right? Ginkgo knows that he knows, but does he know that Ginkgo knows that he knows? That's kind of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to, feign ignorance and whatnot about the Narazu seed and tell him to go away and all that other kind of stuff. But what are the motivations there, right? You want to protect what we have going on. You think that the Mushishi is going to come in here and ruin everything and just, ruin our chances of this land being bountiful in the future and all this other kind of stuff. Ruin my chance of my sacrifice. Ruin my little plan that I have going on. You have things to hide, which is why you feign ignorance the way you do. We must also remember the connection to his wife. That's probably why he's being very prickly about this as well. His wife was chosen as the sacrifice the last time we did this. So it's almost trying to honor her as well. I almost sacrificed my wife unknowingly. It's the whole scene with the eating the rice later on. Okay, I want to atone for that, and this Mushi-Shi is getting in the way of me doing that. Okay, this is interesting. A Narazu seed is a seed that a Mushi-Shi sealed a light vein into. That's weird. So did a Mushishi, is that the first time we got the seed, and then the seed kind of just continues to grow and replicate after that? Okay, that would make sense. Okay, sure. I don't know, it's fun watching a scene where somebody suspects somebody and they're looking for proof. I've noted that you can see Mushi because you have brushed away your books in a weird way and blown on weird spots and stuff. Spots that only I can see, spots that other people can't, and wouldn't be as suspicious. Again, a lot of setup here for the kind of revive, the resurrection here at the end of the episode. Like, hey, the light vein is literally like Corky the essence of life. It can be used to, make somebody immortal, revive people, all that other kind of stuff. It's a powerful thing, and if you can see Mushi and you know what a Naruzu seed is, and I think you know what you're doing, I feel like you want to do one of these two things. Once again, it kind of abusing such a thing is the biggest taboo that a Mushishi can do. I don't know, does that just not scream a setup that Ginkgo's done this in the past? He's committed the taboo. Ooh, crazy stuff. I don't know, again, maybe out on a limb, but I just feel like it would make sense. I feel like I coined this as this, like, farming trolley problem. It's an ethical dilemma that I'm unsure about, really, and that's kind of the point. Like, hey, this land, it's infertile. There's a lot of fucking people here, right, that would die if, a disaster hit and we couldn't get whatever kind of materials from this land that we needed to survive. People would die, people would move, the land would become barren. Yeah, and again, we want to honor our ancestors and stay here and do all that other kind of stuff, right? So, I've got the seed, which is the fucking kind of lever on the trolley problem, in my hand. If I plant this thing, I'm essentially going to save the village, the rest of the village, but I myself will have been the one that did it. I will have a murder kind of on my conscience, right? So, trolley problem. Am I going to sacrifice one person that I deemed to be sacrificed for the betterment of everybody, for the saving of everybody, right? And of course, these two are just playing coy about the whole thing, right? Because, not saying that you have a seed or have used one in the past, but if you were, you'd be a murderer. It's like we're trying to goad him almost, Love this rewatch with the context of what happened to his wife as well. Anyone would dirty their hands. Shit, trolley problem becomes way more interesting when I'm pulling this and it's gonna kill, like, my loved ones, right? And then Ginkgo's like, here's the thing about this seed. It almost, like, works too well. It destroys the balance and grows in power each time, so it could start killing more and more people. I gotta stop this thing before, it gets out of hand. I'm like this mediator, I'm this, like, balancer guy that comes through here and fixes this stuff. We flip the question onto Ginkgo. Ginkgo's like, I wouldn't use it. I don't even know what a village is. I've never really lived in one, right? If it was me, I'd just move. This hits a nerve. This kind of strikes a chord. Our ancestors' flesh and blood sleep here. How dare you even suggest that we could move from this location? And now, it's not even the ancestors now. It's my wife as well. It's my wife, man. It's like Borat. Either way, we end that conversation with the head priest kind of brushing it aside and saying it's all superstition before going into a flashback hosted by, the man himself, hosted by the head priest. Yes, if such a seed did exist, you'd have to treat it with the utmost of care. I did not do that. It's too much for one man to handle. It's too much power. As we can see here, I love this metaphor of, like, the grain, like, in the hands, right? Like, ever growing outwards, unable to keep it all contained. Again, one man can't do this by himself. It's too much. And then a lot happens very quickly. We kind of come out of that metaphor where he's like, it's too much for one man to bear, into Sane returning and Ginkgo leaving, him saying that, yeah, I know how to save the village. What we need to do is burn this shit to the ground. We need to say, no, I don't want this bountiful harvest. No, we don't want anybody to eat any of it. You can keep this power back. We got to break the cycle here. It's almost like he read the poker hand of the guy. Like, I read your bluff. I know what's going on here. And yeah, he falls for it. He comes out and he's like, no, you can't. There's so much riding on this. People will die if you destroy this harvest like that, Oh, this is cool too. So, again, Ginkgo presses him further, saying this is something we must do. People could just live away for 1 year and then reconvene when the conditions are better. After the disaster, after the poor conditions. We see the head priest here walk down the stairs, and he's visibly in discomfort. He's, like, sweating on the head, and he's sickly, and he's, like, kind of stumbling and, like, heavy in breath. He's dying. He's poisoning himself. Duh. That's what's happening here. Yeah, the rewatch here is great. And then, yeah, that leading to him fainting just as he's trying to exert all his effort to stop Ginkgo. And yeah, I don't want to over-explain everything. He's been taking poison. We reveal why here in a moment. Yeah, just... Poison as the cure is interesting. Moving into death. Becoming more akin to Mushi, instead of sacrificing oneself, moving into immortality. There's a lot in the metaphor of taking a poison voluntarily, I guess. Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. You hugely suspected Ginkgo of coming in here and wanting to steal the seed or something, right? That's why you were so defensive about it not being here. You think that a Mushishi would come past here, either a Mushishi kind of policeman type of guy to confiscate it, or a evil rebellious Mushishi who may kind of want to steal the seed for himself to gain immortality or whatever else, to commit the taboo. But now that he knows that that's not going to be the case, I can finally reveal what my plan is. I've been taking poison to be the sacrifice for the last use of the seed, right? For the last iteration. Backstory here is all very quick too. Hey, kind of 2 generations ago, that head priest brought the seed here. It's always been used in times of natural disasters. About 20 years ago is when I was first head priest and faced with the decision of needing to use the seed. Hey, we're going to starve if we don't use this thing. We really need to, I don't want to, but I will, I know what's at stake. I know that somebody's going to be sacrificed. That's cool. I'm willing and able to plant this regardless. Not knowing, my wife's coughing. No, she's the weakest of us all. She's going to die. Again, because all of this stuff isn't public knowledge, because of, the wife was kind of hiding how sick she really was. And again, he unknowingly planted the seed. There's a tragedy there again to hiding the information. And the rest of the village wouldn't trust us if we told them the truth. So yeah, there's a tragedy there for sure. And then as autumn rolls on, wife is dying, she's growing that auspicious tooth. And a tragic scene here where we plead with the husband to eat some of the rice, right? If you eat my life, then I don't feel afraid of dying is a great line. I don't know, just great writing decision. It's a puzzle piece that clicks perfectly into place. It's why this guy cares so much about what he's doing and his sacrifice and this land and the ancestors and everything. It's his wife. His wife died. Explicitly with her words tying that kind of produce in with her kind of life force as well. Originally, I was going to throw out that seed that kind of came from the tooth of my wife, but then I started to think of my responsibilities as the head priest. What about the next natural disaster, or the one after that? Surely there was going to be something sooner or later. Would I need to make this decision again? This needs to be my cross to bear, There's one way I can make all this stuff fair. There's one way I can atone for what I've done in the past, where I think that I literally murdered my wife. Unknowingly, it'd be manslaughter or something, but there's one way I can atone for this. It is to sacrifice my own life. And again, obviously, this is where Ginkgo steps in and is like, no, don't do that shit. Because he's done that in 7 episodes now. Very obvious visual moment here. We already attached the seed itself into Corky as a concept, and we could see it flowing forth from the planting of the seed. Again, all these concepts, the River of Light, Corky, Mushi, this, the rainbow, everything, they all seem connected in a cool way. I like the kind of the almost magic system we're building up, the kind of mysticism to it all. It's really cool. So Ginkgo calls him out here saying that, hey, isn't this the same as just moving away? How can you ensure that this land is going to remain fertile and it won't just fall to ruin the next natural disaster if you're not here to implement it, right? He's like, I can see the future almost. I can see how this will work. We just need to use the right farming practices on this land for long enough. I don't know how many generations it'll take, but I see this land being beautiful one day and continuing to grow stuff without having to use such kind of other means. However, there's that word, generations. I don't know if I can kind of live that long to make this happen, and I don't know if I want to pass on this burden of murder through this whole time too. I don't know if I want to make Sane the murderer here too. I don't know if I want to pass on that baton. There's a lot here, and obviously the immortality solution just solves everything. It's great. And Ginkgo here's great too. Look at him. He's like, shit, damn, we're gonna have to do the taboo. He's convinced me. It's like, okay, I'll let you do your sacrifice plan, but here's what you have to promise me. And the audience themselves doesn't get to know for another couple of minutes, but it's to ingest the seed and attain immortality. Time passes, the moment arrives, the auspicious tooth begins to grow out of the roof of the mouth. He has been deemed the weakest person in the village, and he is the next to go and be sacrificed. We get a happy ending for Sane's mother. She's getting better. That's good. Eating. At that time, we have the head priest's condition deteriorating. He's just getting sicker and sicker. That's when the head priest asks something of Sane as well. Sane goes down and poses as the head priest in the other priest's kind of wake as he's dying here at the end of the festival. Somebody has to go take my role. Obviously, this is a sad time for you. You can't tell everybody else about the circumstances here. Yeah, it's very weird. I don't know what the head priest asked Sane to do. That's weird. It's like, no, I'll continue to do this as you asked, and crying, why does it have to be this way? That's weird. I don't know where that goes to. Because then Ginkgo just steals the fucking thing anyway and makes him ingest it, and then says, hey, kid, don't tell anybody what I'm about to do. It's very taboo and suspect and stuff. They'll come after me. And yeah, long story short, hey, I'm going to make you ingest this thing after death. It's going to revive you, and you're going to become immortal. Can you handle such a thing? Hey, it'll be the perfect solution for you to get your farming and stuff done. It allows us to break the cycle. It's great. So you're going to, instead of, making Sane destroy the seed, which is maybe what you told him to do in your death, instead you're going to ingest it. Again, it's all about continuing to live instead of, destruction. Instead of a narratively satisfying sacrifice for a character, we're going to continue to live in spite of what normally would happen. Ginkgo frames it as his apology too. I didn't know your full thing. I suspected you of some stuff. You suspected me of some stuff. I'm willing to get my hands dirty now that I know your whole story and how sympathetic it is and what you are ultimately trying to do. Yeah, ultimately he wants to see it through after all. He didn't have to think about his answer for too long when faced with the prospects of immortality. He is going to see it through, this land that he's focused so very much on, and many other lands other than this one too. He's going to make sure they prosper. He's the farming, angel, immortal, god type guy now. Oh, and that's a great land too. And what I've done up to now, I'll get to see if it was right or not. So, I almost, I won't get to see the kind of fruits of my labor if I die in the here and now. I won't get to be able to judge myself. I won't get to be able to make that personal decision. Hey, I'm going to see this through because I want to see the result and I want to learn from that. Again, just great philosophy here across the board. And yeah, he goes on his ginkgo shit and just, there's this weird farming guy now. This man is now an ageless immortal, traveling around the country, and at times returning to convey new farming methods to enrich the land. So off he goes, learning more and more about this thing, taking that information back, spreading out the knowledge. It's a really cool, happy, he almost becomes the seed in of himself, because he is now spreading bountiful harvests everywhere, right? As well as where he's from. He's channeling almost his will as a human to do all this stuff and to fuel it, as opposed to the life of somebody unsuspecting. That feels like an unequivocally happy ending. He gets to see it through. I don't know. Maybe he'll get sick of being immortal eventually, but I mean, who doesn't? At least for now. He's going to be okay. That was great again. Good show. Got me on my yapping, which is always good. I'll see you guys next time. I don't have much else to say. Patreon, 1 week ahead. Of course, like the video, subscribe, all that other kind of stuff. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. Ciao.